Sergeant Ortega, would you please lead us in pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Victor, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you humbly in the mighty name of Jesus, asking for your direction tonight, God. We ask for peace upon this meeting, Lord. We ask for your will to be done and not ours. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. Anita, roll call, please.
Counselor Johnson,
Here?
Counselor Foster,
Present.
Counselor Segola,
Here.
Counselor Locke,
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
A quorum is declared.
Modifications to agenda?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, there is one modification to the agenda. We ask that you remove H1 from the agenda until the October 1st council meeting.
And this is as per advice from CIRSA. Our legal counsel has requested that.
That was to move that to what date again?
October 1st.
I would move to table the
It's
public.
actually postponed.
Oh,
Sorry.
postpone.
Yeah, so
So we don't need a motion?
no, we don't have to do a motion on that one. Correct?
You should.
Yes.
Okay.
I would move to postpone, right? Postpone the meeting, the special review use for Foster to 10/1.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to postpone the public meeting in regards to advice from legal counsel. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Locke,
Aye.
Counselor Johnson,
Aye.
Counselor Segola,
Aye.
and Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Approval of consent agenda, minutes of regular meeting August 20th, 2020, review and approval of accounts payable.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and second for the approval of the consent agenda. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Foster,
Aye.
Counselor Locke,
Aye.
Counselor Johnson,
Aye.
Counselor Segola,
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, proclamations, communications, and appointments. Chief?
I'm pleased to introduce Ms. Alejandra Quintero as our new officer. Most proud of the fact that she's the first female officer we've had, maybe only the second one ever in the history of the city of Monte Vista. And at least in 35 years, we were pretty sure this is the first time we've had a female officer. And I said that from day one when I was getting hired for this job, is the department has to represent the community that we serve. It has to look like the community we serve. So we are very pleased to have Alejandra here. So with that, I'm going to swear her in and give you that. So raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Alejandra Quintero,
Do solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury
do solemnly swear for under penalty of perjury
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the state of Colorado,
the state of Colorado,
the city of Monte Vista Charter and ordinances,
the city of Monte Vista Charter and ordinances,
and I will faithfully perform the duties of police officer
and I will faithfully perform the duties of police officer
to which I have been appointed
to which I have been appointed
and upon which I am about to enter.
and upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations and
Thank
welcome
you.
aboard.
So I don't want to give anybody my back. I'll move over here. I'm super excited to be here. So I was born in Monterrey, Mexico. I think it's kind of uncommon for somebody like from Mexico to come out here and, you know, make things happen. And I moved here 10 years ago, and my dad brought us here, and I was really mad at him. I was very upset. But I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because if that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be here today. So, yeah.
And we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Very glad to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Welcome. Sergeant Ortega. This is another pretty outstanding award. It's rare you see this anymore, that you get people that hang around. Too often people jump from job to job to job, and I'm here to present to Sergeant Ortega tonight 10 years of service to the citizens of Monte Vista, to the city of Monte Vista. And more importantly, he's got to hang around at least another 5, because I promised the city I would give them a minimum of 5, and I need him along with some of the others, but I especially need Sergeant Ortega to keep me understanding what I should be doing or shouldn't be doing and stuff like that. And it's rarely goes a day that I don't ask him for advice or something, even approving reports. I'm still learning the system here. He kicked the report back on me today that I did, and which is the absolute right thing to do, right? We're all in this together, but I really count on him, and he gives good, solid advice, and the citizens of Monte Vista should be very pleased to have someone of his caliber be a part of this community and be policing this community. So, Eugene, for 10 years of service, congratulations, and at least another 5. I can't get Eugene to say very much either. Thank you.
Thank all you officers for what you do. Appreciate every one of you. Thank you. No scheduled appearances. So citizen comments. City Council welcomes your unscheduled comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Council will not take action at this city meeting. Yes, ma'am. Please write your name on that paper up there, please.
I'd like to thank the city, the police officers, and I'm in awe for these women. This lady, she's awesome. I hope everybody will respect and honor her integrity. And I hear that you often go to my house and knock on my door. I've been out of town. I'm grateful. I'm Berlinda Archuleta Velarde. And later on, I want to say why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just here and we have something to talk about to the city about. I'm Anthony Chacon, by the way. Nice to meet everybody. And we'll be hopefully talking with you guys in a little bit. Right?
Anybody else? Okay. Everybody's good? You got any more comments? Margot?
Ms. Marco? I just came from the dentist, so pardon me if I talk funny. I guess my main comment is thank you for Rob and his crew and the fantastic work they do in our city with the limited equipment and people. And you know, they're friendly, they're kind, you see them on the street, they wave at you. And I had some work done in the alley. I didn't have it done. Work was done in the alley. And the people who did it, considerate, kind, said what they were going to do, you know, and just the information is flowing. And I just find it great. And when I see what's going on in our country, and I see our police force, as good as they are, it gladdens my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Miss Nita.
Financial reports.
I'm gonna hit the lights because there's a couple of graphs in here that you may not be able to see. Okay. So before I get started and dive into the weeds with all this fun stuff, I just want to give a reminder that the 1 cent committee budget meeting for the 1 cent fund is next Thursday night, September 10th at 6 p.m. So obviously council needs to be here along with our committee members, and obviously it's open to the public. So anybody who wants to be here for that will be addressing the 1 cent fund that night. And then our scheduled work session for the 2021 budget is scheduled for September 22nd at 6 p.m. So I'll try to send out reminders next week as well for the one that we have coming up next week, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there.
Jenny, what did you say the second one was? September 22nd?
Yes, September 22nd at 6 p.m. So, and then really quick, go Avs go. They're in game 7 tomorrow night. So there we go. Tonight I'm here to give you kind of a financial update as far as the city's standpoint as of June 2020, as well as kind of answer the questions that I've been getting a lot lately about why the finances look the way they look. So hopefully we can address a few of those things tonight. I'm not going to read through my memo that was in the council packet word for word, since you guys have had that and hopefully had a chance to review that. I'm going to touch on the high points. So in the general fund, we're at 61% of our revenue for the year that we budgeted for. And with that, we've collected 97% of our budgeted amount for the property taxes. So I don't think that we're really going to see, you know, last year we kind of saw that level out, but our sales tax continued to grow. I kind of think that's what the last half of the year will do, at least up until November, and then we'll kind of readdress the situation after that. Expenditures were at 49%. So again, our department heads, our staff have done a really good job of trying to keep expenditures down this year because, you know, we just didn't know. We kind of had an idea of what might happen, but we planned for the worst and we got to see the better. So that's always a plus. In the general fund, as of June 2020, revenues have exceeded expenditures by $367,000 and some change. This brought our fund balance in the general fund up to $1.7 million. And that's a 27% increase from December. So, and along with that, in the general fund, our cash balance has grown by 102% as of December of 2019. So, our water fund, the revenues are at 45% of what we've budgeted for, and expenditures are at 36%. And the expenditures have kind of slowed down in the water, both the water and sewer funds have been able to have revenues over expenditures. So that's a plus. In the sewer fund, the revenues are at 50%. So they're coming in right on target there. So any questions about that part of it? Okay. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my final notes here, as well as kind of go through a few things on this slide that kind of backs up what we're saying here. The city of Monte Vista continues to be financially sound even through this pandemic, and we've been able to even see growth, which is something in these times is kind of rare and a little bit unexpected, but as we dive into this, I think it's kind of what a lot of the small local governments are seeing kind of across the nation, and even some of the big governments. So I attribute a lot of our success, obviously, to our citizens and having the faith in this community and shopping local, as well as, again, going back to our staff of minding their P's and Q's and only spending where we needed to spend. So that helped immensely. One thing that we are looking towards as far as forecasting and budgeting, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the commodities, as I think that's going to be what's going to be the driving factor, obviously, for our community, since we're ag-based more so than looking at national numbers and things. We'll be looking more towards communities that are like ours, based in agriculture, to get us through these next few months and into the budget for next year and the following year. One thing that we did do during the month of August is we took $500,000 and we invested it in a CD with Rio Grande Savings and Loan. They were offering a 0.71% interest rate on that CD with a promise of, if we needed to pull that money out quickly, they would be able to do that for us. So that interest rate is more than what we're earning with our main checking, more than what we're earning at Colo Trust. So we felt that by putting it there, we could see a little bit more growth than by just letting it sit in our bank account. So, by letting it sit in our bank account, we're not practicing best practices of doing everything that we can do with the taxpayer's dollar to make it grow, give us the funds necessary to do what we need to do. Economic activity in Monte Vista has continued to outperform expectations in 2020. While the pandemic is ongoing and economic recovery will in fact impact sectors and geographic regions differently, it appears that we're going to follow our historical trends and show growth during what people are trying to call a recession. Our economy in Monte dipped slightly a couple of years after the 2008 recession. I don't know if that's going to happen again after all of this. I'm not a predictor, I can't tell, but given the trends that we've seen over the years, it more than likely will feel the effects from this in a couple of years versus end of year, next year, those types of things. I think it's going to be a while before we see that. Something else that's kind of been a driving factor that we look at when we're doing forecasting and things like that is unemployment rates. The unemployment rates in the San Luis Valley of all the counties are well below the national average. The national average is roughly around 15% right now. The counties in the valley vary anywhere between 7 to 11%. So they're coming in quite a bit less than what the rest of the nation is seeing. So that's also playing a factor and playing a role in what we're seeing as far as people's willingness to spend and our economy and our sales tax revenues. The thing with recessions and the economy is it always changes, it always shifts, and not so much that the cash flows change, it's just a difference in where the cash flows are changing. We're not feeling the effects, but we know that our restaurants, our hair salons, and those types of things are feeling the effects from it. Whereas our grocery stores, our gas stations, and those types of things, it's kind of business as normal, and in fact, business is better. So Nita, if you can go to the next slide. So here's part of what's going on and why our numbers look the way they look. Everybody was laughing at me because my Wall Street Journal subscription got canceled because we had to change credit cards, and I missed out on it for a while, and we finally got it going, and I was running through City Hall this week going, yay, it's back. So some of the headlines that really struck me this week were stocks log of 5 straight months of gains. So recessions, you have to show 3 quarters of decline in order to be considered a recession. And our stock market has now been gaining for the last 5 months. So as far as being able to classify this as a true recession, we haven't hit that yet. The S&P had its best August since 1986. That's almost as old as I am. So, well, I'm older. We'll go with that. It's up 7% in August of 2020 versus what it was in August of 1986. And we saw the most growth, and it's coming in higher than what it was. So trying to say that our stock market isn't growing and that we're in a recession kind of doesn't go along with what's what the numbers are saying. That's part of why I like accounting, is because numbers are black and white. There's no gray area. It either is or it isn't. So the other thing that's playing a huge factor is the stock market is being reshaped from, you know, our big top 1% of earners being the biggest players in the stock market are now shifting to players that are like middle class, like people that are, excuse me, I hope I don't offend anybody in the room by saying this, but people that are like us. They've had the ability to buy into the stock market through the apps that are available out there and making it easy for this kind of stuff. So when our top 1% of America dumped all their stock when they heard the pandemic was coming, it gave us an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to buy that up. And so what you'll see in the next few slides is you're going to see a strong decrease at the beginning of the year, but you're going to see that those numbers are starting to come back and the stock market is stabilizing and it is bouncing back. We've almost, more than half on some of the stuff, regained what we've lost. We're almost back where we were before all of this happened. So that's something else that is playing a factor on why a lot of state and local governments aren't feeling the same effects that we thought we would feel. But my favorite headline from the September 1st Wall Street Journal was the Democratic state budget scare. Tax revenue is coming in much better than expected in most places. Federal Reserve is helping state and local governments by keeping interest rates low and buying corporate debt. Low interest rates have also generated a boom in home buying. State and local governments rely heavily on property taxes and won't suffer as much budget pain as they did after the 2009 housing crisis. So those are some of the big headlines this week of why we're all sitting here scratching our heads going, no, it's really not as bad as they're trying to make it sound. And that's why our numbers here within the city are looking the way they're looking, is because one, we don't usually feel the effects of a nationwide recession, because when you're always here, the highs and the lows aren't as big as they are in New York City or when you're dealing with corporate America. It's a little bit different. So with that being said, Nita, if you can go to the next slide. As I said, we're going to keep an eye on our agricultural futures because that's what's going to be our driving factor. So you can see that we started out, this is a 6-month graph. We started the year out looking really good as far as the live cattle industry goes and what beef basically was bringing in. Then we had our pandemic scare here, and we are coming back about halfway from what we were at the beginning of the year. Cattle prices always change and fluctuate, but as far as being knocked down and staying down, Nita, if you can go to the next slide, the oat futures are way worse than the cattle industry. So, you know, that's something that we're definitely going to want to take a look at and keep an eye on, because we do have a lot of farmers around here that have grain, have oats, have those types of things. So, you know, if our farmers aren't in business and they're not paying their workers, then that's where we come into play of potentially having issues. The last slide, if I can have you go to, Nita, this is crude oil. So we all know that at the beginning of the year, crude oil was trading about $65 a barrel. Then it dropped and it was trading at negative for about a week. They couldn't get people to take it off their hands. And we had the oil wars going on in the Middle East with Russia and everything like that. But if you take a look, as of 11 o'clock our time this morning, oil was trading at $48 a barrel. So oil's almost come back to where it was at the beginning of the year. And, you know, that's even after major hurricanes hitting in Texas with oil refineries and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what the rest of the year brings. But as far as being able to back up our numbers of why they look the way they look, you know, one, it's attributed to our fine directors and our employees doing what they need to do, as well as what you guys just saw here. The numbers don't lie. You can't make them up. It is what it is. So, any questions?
Wow.
Wow, thank you very much.
No,
All right.
actually,
Question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, question may not necessarily be to you as much as it is city manager. We had asked the directors to tighten screws down, for lack of a better phrase.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking pretty good. Are we going to be loosening those back up? Is that necessary? How do you see that playing out over the next quarter or so?
So again, it goes back to, we're still kind of holding our breath because as we've seen this year, I hate to say it, but it's a political game. And we are not gonna know how it's gonna end until we decide who's gonna be the next president. We did loosen it just a little bit. We have made some changes. You know, one change that came to mind right away, and probably that you guys are fully aware of, was our park staff. So we always hire 3 seasonal staff members to get us through from roughly May to about September. And then things as far as public works start slowing down in September. So as far as telling Rob that he can go out and hire 3 seasonals, it's gonna cost the city more money in training, only to turn around and let him go within a month when things start slowing down. So as far as like personnel staff, that isn't, we won't go with hiring employees that would normally be seasonals, but as far as being able to get some of the stuff that was budgeted for, and you know, some of the supplies, some of the equipment, those types of things, we are taking a look at and addressing those as needed.
It's Jen. I just want to comment on your presentation. These are strange times.
They are.
And it's, interestingly enough, not always positive to come up with something positive. And you did your digging, and you went to the facts, just like you say, the black and white, and it's uplifting to know.
Yeah.
I think probably not so much, maybe more than anything, I don't know. I haven't been much for dabbling in the stock market, but the way that the specifics about that, of how that's played out, is really inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
That the middle class is out there covering for the
Right.
major players that
Right.
have bailed, and it's working.
And I think that was something that people forget about Americans. You can't keep us down. You're not going to keep us down. You know, we will rise to the occasion and we will stay afloat. It's the American way. You know, it's to try to make us go, and this is Jenny talking, this isn't finance director talking, but to try to make us go from being what America is to making us be completely ruled under thumb is going to be a struggle. And you know, when one door closes, another opens. And I think that a lot of these people that dumped their stocks had alternative motives for political gain. And you know, once again, they forgot about those quiet, silent people that don't stomp their feet, that don't raise heck, that are just in the shadows, kind of doing their thing. And that's kind of what has happened here. We've kind of gone on without all the stomping of feet, and you know, kind of Monty's way. It is what it is. We're just gonna roll with it.
All right.
So,
Thank you.
all right.
Very good presentation, thank you,
All right.
Jenny.
Thank you, Jen.
Staff proposals, reports, and actions, city manager.
Dang, I don't have any PowerPoints or slides. I'll work on that.
Let's put on a Muppet Show. We can give you a sock and you can put it on your hand and you can do a little.
I can do voices, so, you know, that might be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll work on something for the next council meeting with voices.
You keep saying.
That would be fun. So,
I would move to approve for Boris to do voices for his report.
all right, Governor, I'll work on that for the next meeting. Oh, give you my whole report and something, or not. But, by the way, there won't be a Kids Connection report tonight. I'm gonna take that really briefly from her. Anika came in this afternoon. They're working like a double, triple, half split gainer thing going on, because we've got split schools, right? So they have split customers in the morning and the afternoon, and they got some coverage in the middle of the day, and then they got these kids leaving, these kids coming. It is like, they're doing an amazing job with Pandalarium, but it really is just like crazy. She's like, it's like having 4 different days in one day. So I saw her this afternoon, and I said, well, you know, looking forward to your report tonight. And she goes, I don't really know what I want to talk about. And I said, okay, we'll see you next month. So, but they are working, and they're doing a good job working with the schools, and you know, it's chaotic, but they're getting it done. So her numbers are really actually pretty good, and You know, she's done some nice things with funding. Anyway, so, let's see. More good news. Let's just keep with good news, kind of. So Rio Grande County, you all might recall, I don't know when that was, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks ago, something. We signed a memorandum of agreement with them because the county received some CARES Act funding that trickled down from the governor's office. And so we are on track to get some reimbursement for COVID expenses. And, you know, COVID expenses are really interesting, and I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking about those other than, you know, there's all these guidelines and stuff, and actually, I don't know if Jaime is gonna talk about his fogger tonight, but I'll talk about his fogger, because it's funny, or fun, or cool, or I don't know which it is, but, you know, they're reintroducing sports, and he'll talk about that, and it's pretty exciting, that's like normal activity. But there's other stuff, like with indoor, where you need to do some things like have foggers. So, you know, Jaime and I have this joke about, he always comes to see me when he wants to spend money. And so, anyway, so we're getting our very own fogger to use with the recreation programs. It's kind of cool. They're not super expensive, but, you know, some like, is the solution safe? Do you need PPE? And he did all his research, but it's also finding ways to get kids back into recreation. So he'll talk about that. But Rio Grande County is supposed to shortly roll out a business assistance program, kind of like the Paycheck Protection Program. Haven't seen the details yet, but it's supposed to be forthcoming, and it'll be countywide. So for businesses in Monte and et cetera, that's great. And we'll see what the details are, but we'll definitely roll it out. We promised we'd help with our website and all that stuff. But also Upper Rio Grande Economic Development. We were actually thinking about putting together our own program, but if the county rolls this out, then we'll just support that. But we do know, you know, the numbers don't lie. I love hearing that, because the numbers are good for us. They are bad for some of our businesses. So if this program comes out to help that, you know, we'll help to push it out. You know, SBA still has some technical assistance. There's some other things. There's pieces of it on our website, the Facebook page. San Luis Valley Development Resource Group has some good resources. So there's stuff out there for people that still need help. It's not all disappeared. And hopefully this county piece will come at, you know, if it comes in the next couple of weeks, is a really good timing thing. So I think that's good news for people that are struggling, and we know that, but we also know that the market shift. And you look at the housing market, and I love to throw segues in here. Speaking of the Upper Rio Grande Economic Development, then we'll talk about the URA, which the mayor attended that meeting via Zoom the other night, and it's the best Zoom group for meetings, because people have dogs and pets and chaos, and but it's actually a good meeting, right? Because it's not everyone sitting in an office going, you know, a lot of the members attend from outside in their yards, and it's really good. But one of the things that you know, URA has been working on a housing program, and we demolished some houses that really needed it. But one of the problems with the funding that we had is that it was a community development block grant, which goes to point A and says you may not build anything. You can only build infrastructure with CDBG. You can't actually build a house. Well, a couple of years ago, we had a lot of discussions with the Division of Housing, which is part of DOLA, about, you know, well, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So last year they got a pot of money that was allocated for this year. It's not as big as it should be, and it actually started allocating it in January. And the URA board is going to apply for some of that money where you can actually build a house. We kind of have an interesting thing that talks about our housing market, in that Community Resources Housing Development Group is down in Tierra del Sol right now. They're building 5 houses. In that original part of the subdivision they built, there's only 7 lots left. 5 of them were spoken for. So if you want to talk about economic optimism, they actually have started to talk about, with Rob, about developing the infrastructure on the next segment of their subdivision. Right now, in pandemic land, right? So that's pretty good optimism that, one, they have enough customers, they have a pipeline, they're going to build that. They were potentially going to be one of our partners for these lots that we created vacant lots out of, but they kind of have their hands full. So we talked to the state some more about it, Division of Housing, and they're like, yeah, we should do that. We should let you guys try it. Once again, we'll kind of be the guinea pigs like we were for the first part of the program. But layering these two financing sources together will probably allow us to actually build some houses. And Larry Roberts, who many of you might know is a realtor, is also on the URA board. And he's like, yeah, you know, because housing supply right now is tight, at least in any kind of quality housing. And we actually see people that are like coming here from the Front Range that are buying, say, a house that needs a lot of work, and they're buying it and fixing it up. So that's great. But that means in that price point of housing that there's way more demand than there is supply. So we hope in 2021 to actually work on that and try to do something fun and innovative that serves our community. And we do have a couple of nonprofit partners who can help us get the customers for them and pre-qualify them. You know, so like the San Luis Valley Housing Coalition actually works with people to get them in houses, and they have like a loan forgiveness program, all kinds of good stuff. So little sidebar, the URA going a little bit farther in this than we maybe originally intended, but it fits the mission of providing one, urban renewal, if you will, and actually doing something with those lots rather than trying to figure out what we're going to do with them 20 years from now. There's also 2 spec homes right over here. If nobody's seen those, then you haven't gone to Big R or Top Value. And that's a private builder, owns the lots, is building those houses. So that's like, you know, look in the Wall Street Journal talking about housing starts. So we've got 5 houses started in Tierra del Sol. We've got 2 over there. And the city's talking with a couple of other developers right now about building more houses or making more lots available. So that seems pretty optimistic. And that's pretty exciting. You know, we haven't had a lot of housing starts. We've had new homes that individuals have done, but actual people that want to be developers. So kind of excited about that. And when we talk about the housing market, the other thing here, and as Jenny pointed out in her thing, she's like, a lot of governments are afraid because of property taxes. Well, it may be one thing that's interesting here, but property taxes in the valley are pretty monotonously stable. You know, sometimes flatline doesn't seem like a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either. The only thing that's affected our property values in any kind of significant way is the Gallagher Amendment, which, as I understand, will be on the ballot for consideration this fall. I haven't read the ballot language. I don't know if it's good or bad that happens, but the existing regulations from 1983, I believe.
84.
Oh, 84?
You're close.
Darn. Well, you're good with the numbers. I just 30,000 feet. Back in the 80s, they made this law. It sounded really good. It has not proven to be so useful. Yes, it depends on your point of view, but if you collect property taxes, it hasn't been great. So, and there's going to be some information for voters and stuff to look at. I haven't actually seen the language yet, but we'll see what happens. But I don't think it'll have a major effect on our property taxes one way or the other. So that's a nice stable amount of revenue. And then sales tax, as Jenny pointed out, pretty good. It's not good for everybody, we get that. But after February, which, you know, revenues went chunk, like a little big dip, everyone who knew what was going on then. But, you know, they've remained pretty well. We'll have to keep our eyes on energy and commodity costs and those kind of things, but we are doing a lot better than a lot of other communities. You know, and I hate to, you know, you said go Avs, I'm gonna say go Ag. Because, you know, we do want to capture more tourism stuff, but without agriculture, which creates jobs, and, you know, if you look at our economy here, it's driven by agriculture, and agriculture is doing pretty well. You know, if you went, one of my favorite things is spring and then all this mess, you go out there in April and May, and there's crops growing, right? That's normal. There's pivots going, there's green stuff and it's like that. That's kind of normalcy, right? And pretty soon we're starting harvesting and stuff, and some stuff's, you know, hay and stuff's already going, but, you know, potatoes are killed, they're starting to go. That's agriculture, that's our commerce, so, you know, it's pretty exciting. I think that's a really great thing. In my report, since I should get to that part, right? We are working with CDPHE on our wastewater program, and they have a new regulator person who, or persons, hard to say, who have taken some issue with the work we've done with them for the last 5 years. So, but we're on it. You know, our engineers are on it, and we, as kind of a sidebar, you know, we have water attorneys. We're working on our water augmentation plan, which in the perfect world might get in front of the court by March or April of next year. That's what we said 2 years ago, I know, but it's actually getting closer. But we also reached out to them when we kind of got this new thing on our wastewater, and they indicated they'd be more than happy to assist us if things go sideways. And they're not sideways at the moment. But Jeff Williamson was with Berg Hill, Greenleaf, and Raschuti, which is a great firm. We were going to have a closure of City Hall. That's going to be on September 30th, 11 to 2 p.m. We were going to do it this last week, and we got really busy. So we reschedule that. Obviously, as Jenny mentioned, September 22nd, big work session for council, and then the 1 cent committee is September 10th, where you get to see the affected department heads. Public Works PD and I guess kind of me for Sky High make our pitches to the 1 cent committee for what we would like to do with that money and have those discussions. The budget processing is going very well. As I think I put in a previous memo, we're actually using Cassell for our budget process. And it's actually going really well. And the pre-process with the, except for the chief there, you know, but we won't talk about.
Apologies, sir.
Yeah, we won't talk about that exactly, but it's a really nice system in that it ties in with our accounting system. You can write notes about why you want to change something or what it's about, and it creates a really good record where you can print it out. It's very transparent, and so really liking that. Kind of going back to Councilor Foster's question about loosening the reins a little bit. I think our finance director is pretty happy at the moment talking about this stuff. I haven't loosened it that much, right?
No.
No. A few things that were needed, right? Because there's things that break and things that happen, but we still are well within that reduced budget parameter that we described. We're not getting too happy. But, you know, if there's stuff that we need, we're pretty, give people a hard time. As Jaime knows, every time he comes to ask me for money, we have a pretty long discussion, even though, you know, and the extent of that purchase was what, $300? Yeah, so we are watching our P's and Q's, but we're trying to do things and accomplish the mission. Sky High continues to go forward. If you haven't been down there, we're still kind of doing the thing where, well, foundation's happening right now, which is, you know, really not an exciting thing. If you watch people pour foundations, it's not that great to look at, but it's coming. The pad's done, the concrete work's begun. The building will be here the start of October. And we just had a meeting today to talk about, you know, how exciting is it when things go vertical. Drive by, there's a couple concrete trucks, but when the building's here and they start putting it up, then that's where it'll get really exciting. So that is coming. We're having some issues getting Excel to be responsive. If that's not meaning to be offensive to them, but if anyone's surprised by that, I don't know. They're overworked, understaffed, and they're mostly working from home, and I think that that's difficult. We're fortunate not to be doing that. And then one more thing I'll say about our finance director this evening.
I was gonna get off.
Right? You thought I was gonna forget about that? The last thing I'm gonna say, you know, and I have a bet how long the meeting was gonna be tonight, so that's why I'm stretching. Sorry. So, Jenny Sines, as you know, is a member of the Colorado Trust Board. And recently she was appointed to another prestigious group, which is the Government Finance Officers Association Advisory Committee for Small Government Forum. GFOA is a national and in both the United States and Canada national organization, and to be appointed to this group, which creates training, outreach, and information for finance professionals from across the United States, is a pretty good feather in her cap. And of course it is for ours because she works for the city. So just want to congratulate her on being appointed to that. And I do that particularly since she hates that kind of stuff. So. But, you know, well-earned praise. I think that's it, unless you all have any questions for me. I'd be happy to answer those.
I don't, you've definitely been busy. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, we're having fun. It's kind of chaotic, but that's good, because to us, that's normal. Things were kind of quiet in March and, strange, and now we're back to, a lot of things going on, and it's good.
One question, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, quite all right.
Oh, that's okay?
Oh,
I can
yes.
do that?
You bet.
Maybe for Jen, I don't know, and I don't know if you can have this information, but obviously the 1 cent fund is put off until first of the year, obviously.
Correct.
Because of, I don't know if we have a record, certainly we must, of the current balance. Is that on track? Anyway, it should be since sales tax.
It's coming in on track. We're thinking we'll come in somewhere around $495,000 in that fund by the end of the year, and it's a little over $200,000 right now.
Okay.
And that's as of June. So again, we won't know July's numbers until next week or the week after next. So the state's reporting is always 2 months behind. So we don't know where we've come in yet for July, but June we were coming in kind of where we thought we'd come in at.
And
Sounds like about what was projected.
Well, actually, for the vote, we projected more than this, but we anticipated $400,000.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it, like the rest of our sales tax, is looking good so far.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Very good.
All righty. Thank you very much. You all have a safe and happy Labor Day weekend.
You too, Forrest, thank you.
Yes, thanks, Forrest. You're up, Grandpa.
So I do visit Forest for money, but it's not very often that I do that. It's just, it seems like it comes to the time to where it's just like, oh, all of a sudden you just need 2, 3, 4, 5 things in a row. So that's why it's. But anyway, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Mayor and City Council. I know I haven't here. I was supposed to be here the last meeting that we had, and as you know, I had to go out of town. I had a grandbaby, and she's been with us. Actually, they moved back with us. They've been with us, and it's 1 month old today.
Congratulations.
Exciting.
It is definitely a different kind of love. It is. She just like grabbed me right here, and I am happy, and I think I'm more happy than the parents actually. But I'm enjoying her every single time that she's with me right now. She knows what I'm talking about. Okay, so I don't want to take a lot of time with that, but like Forrest says, since the epidemic happened and all that, our department has been very, very quiet. We've been working hard to advise or to get used to the guidelines that the state sets and the county sets as far as having the sports and activities, and it's been very, very hard for us to make those changes. Back in June, as you remember, we did host a baseball clinic for the kids, and we had close to 25 kids attending the clinic, and of course we had to follow guidelines and hand sanitize and all this stuff. And then we were planning on having volleyball and football camps after that, and then guidelines changed and we had to cancel everything again. So nevertheless, in all this time that it's kind of been slow, our department has been taking a lot of online training I myself been taking online trainings, taking, meeting with the CPRA on sports fields and sport programming, facility operations and all that, just to see what other towns, other cities are doing. Although we haven't been affected as much as they have, it's just kind of like in the whole state, so we have to, all the parks and recreations have those meetings on Zoom, and I see, we kind of see what they're doing, so we can implement it here and start reopening. I've also been taking some classes or online training on facility management, with the new facility. I don't know where route we're gonna take from there, or our department's gonna take from there, but we would like to be prepared for whatever comes. So, like I mentioned, we had the baseball camp back in June, and then we had a basketball camp now in August. And I would like to say that within those camps that we had and the baseball camp that we had 25 kids registered. We have no issues. We had no kids getting sick, no reports of anybody getting affected by COVID during that time. During the basketball camp now in August 4th through the 6th, we had close to 60 kids in the gym, including coaches, or not including coaches. And we didn't have no reports of anybody getting sick, no reports of nothing bad happening. And so, therefore, we, talking to my supervisor for us, I think we feel safe to start reopening our programs, start reopening our games, and we actually working with football. And of course, we are following guidelines. We are keeping everybody safe. We are still sanitizing every equipment. We're taking temperature, stuff like that. I've been meeting with the directors from the other towns that we play against, and most of them, actually all of them, most of them, either won't be able to host games or they're not allowed to still compete. So far, Monte Vista is the only one that is going to reopen, along with Alamosa and Del Norte. And I kind of open it to, since some of the towns like Center, Sawat, Sangre, they won't be able to host games. I told them that if they still want to play, they're welcome to come to Monte Vista, and we'll put them in the schedule. I haven't heard nothing yet, but we're hoping that they at least put a team together and get those kids out there. As many precautions, like Forrest says, we are taking precautions as far as the virus and all that stuff. We bought a fogger, and what it does is after every game, we just kind of mist every equipment that we use, the facilities that we use, so it can be sanitized. And we did a little bit of expense there, $300, I think that's what we spent, but I think it's worth it, and I think we'll keep our kids safer. We also purchased, and that's why I brought this helmet, just for a little more protection, is this guard right here. It's a whole face shield. And since it's going to be a little more in contact in football, I don't know if everybody else is doing it. I don't know if Del Norte is doing it. I don't know if Alamos is doing it, but I feel like maybe we protect our kids by doing this. And it's safe. It's just plastic. What it goes there, it's not glass. It's not going to break and harm our kids. And so it was a little bit more expense that we did there, but I think it'll, in the long run, it will help protect our kids, and they'll feel safer to come out and participate.
Good thinking. Yeah.
And since we're in that note, I would like to thank the Monte Vista schools, because they are working with us in order for us to reopen, by using the facilities. Like I said, other schools are not, it's good, I cleaned them before you brought it, so. Like other schools are not allowing the youth programs to play in their facilities because they're following CHASA rules. And although we follow CHASA rules guidelines, we don't follow under CHASA. So we only take CHASA as a guideline, as a guidance for our programs, but we don't fall under CHASA. So that's kind of what we talk with the schools here, and they're good to, for us to host games. And I'm very happy that they allow us to do that. Again, as long as we clean the area and leave it ready for them for school day next day.
So that's part of the fogger.
Yes.
Okay.
And I pretty much anything else is in my report. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything that you would like to see happening, I'm open for it.
Where'd you get the fogger at?
I looked into different companies, and the only place that we found it was Amazon. And I think there was one left with the battery and the charger and all that.
Is it a Ryobi?
Yes.
There's with harvest getting ready to happen, the farmers are looking for stuff like that, and they're very hard to find.
It
So that's
is.
why I was asking.
Yeah.
But you got the last one, so.
Well, there's a few more. There's a few more in Amazon, but they don't have the battery and the charger and all that stuff. It's just the machine itself.
I have a question. What kind of chemical does it use to disinfect?
And I should have brought the paper, but it is EPA.
EPA is
EPA.
certified, and it's not hazardous.
Yes,
You're
it's
not
not.
required to wear PPE when you spray it, as opposed to actually what we were using with our commercial contractor at City Hall. This doesn't require the applicator to do anything other than wearing a normal mask, but not even an N95, so
Right.
it's environmentally friendly.
Is it real expensive or?
I think the 1 gallon was like $36.
Yeah, 76, so, yeah, somewhere between 35 and 40 bucks a gallon.
I want to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
It's wonderful to see a young grandpa doing all this for our youth. Thank you.
Well,
As
thank
a
you.
concerned citizen, because it looks wonderful to see at the park all the little children.
It is, yeah. It looks sad when there's nobody there, but when it's full of kids, it brings it alive. It does. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're
Appreciate
going
you.
forward. We're going forward.
Yes, you are.
Where's my helmet? I'm sure I need that.
Yeah, did you check that one out?
Yes.
Thanks, Ivy. Thank you.
Council committee, city commissions, and council reports. Martha?
I'm so glad I get to go first. That means I get to be the first one to say congratulations, Mayor, on your new grandbaby as well.
Thank you.
She is a bit of a namesake. I don't know if you want her name announced or not, so I won't. But Everly Dale,
Yeah.
who is, how many days old is she now?
How old is she
How
now?
many days?
She's 2 weeks old.
2
Wow.
weeks? Yeah, that's exciting.
Wait, no, she'll be a week old tomorrow.
Yeah, I didn't think you had that right, but I wasn't going to correct you.
I'm the grandpa, I don't do birthdays.
So congratulations to our mayor. The Chamber of Commerce has agreed to work with the Optimistics in their endeavors to just, I'm not even sure what all their plans are. I know they're looking at lights and they're looking at storefronts and awnings and just making things look nicer and more attractive, and so that we can attract more business to fill these buildings up. So I was happy to be at the chamber meeting last week when they agreed to work with them. The Optimistics are actually doing all the work, but the chamber is going to be supportive of them. And so are we.
Very good. Larry?
Well, it's Labor Day weekend. And first of all, I'd like to that's so noisy. Encourage everybody to be safe. And everybody always says be safe, and that's always, a good reminder to be safe. But we will have a lot of people coming through town, and so I will encourage you to be friendly. I will encourage you to be nice, because that may be the only Monte Vista that these visitors and these tourists get to see. the impression that we leave these people with may be the only impression they get of our town. And if we're nice and we're kind and we're helpful, then they'll be likely to come back or stop more often. And if we're rude and shrewd, and they probably won't. So I would encourage everybody to go out of your way when you see somebody who's a stranger to, say hi or wave or whatever it takes, that we can be a friendly town and people remember us as such.
Very good, thank you. Victor?
I just want to say thank you to the police department. I can't express enough gratitude towards them. I was talking with a police officer from Alamosa today, and he was just sharing some stories with me about some close calls that they have to endure. At times they don't know, unexpected times, and there's chances for them never to return home once they leave their house. And so I really do just want to express my gratitude towards the police department, because man, it's can get pretty wild out there. Also, just kind of curious about the building, City Hall. I know we had brought it up last council meeting about painting, about colors. I'm not sure if anybody's.
We have a plan for you.
We'll talk to you about, at budget time, about a plan. We do have a plan.
Awesome.
We love the idea, so we have a plan.
Cool, that's awesome. I'm excited for it to change, I think it'll be great to have, as people are coming into Monte Vista through this side of town, to have a nice green park and a nice building that's not white, So I think that'd be awesome. Congratulations to all the grandparents, I think I have some of them on Facebook, and it's great to see people smile, the joy that babies bring is just, you can't express that anymore. Another thing too is, I don't know what we can do about it as a city, but I walk around a lot, and it's pretty sad, to walk around and to see trash, I walk around, I see trash thrown over here, and Sonic cups over there, and Dairy Queen cups over here, and trash bags of who knows what, and as I walk, I'm picking up beer cans and plastic, French fry things and whatever it is, and I'm picking it, and I'm like, oh man, I wish this person had their dumpster by the road so I could just go and throw it in there instead of walking with it for, half a mile or whatever. But I know that there's an enforcement for littering. Is that $500? Do you know? Anyways, I was just kind of wondering. I don't know if there was anybody ever charged or cited for littering.
Yes.
Yeah. But I was kind of wondering maybe if we can raise that citation price.
It actually goes up to $1,000. So it's judge discretion. It's $100 to, well, I guess $50 to $1,000. So usually,
and it's just, it's sad because some people, that's our city, it's our city, and if people are living here, they don't have any concern for it, well, maybe that concern will change if it affects their pocket a little bit, and it's just, it's hard, to just see, the city that we take pride in, to just be looked at oh, I don't care, I'm just gonna throw my trash over here, I'll throw my trash over there. So anyways, I'll end my rant there, so, hope everybody also has a safe weekend, and, Councilor Foster said, be nice and be courteous. You never know who out there needs a smile or just a friend sometimes, so. That's it.
Thank you, Victor. Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, thanks. I want to reiterate, to Dale and Anita, Jaime, Any other new grandparents out here? We've got a regular club going. Maybe we'll have a contest to see who has more. I don't know. I don't know if 9 is a big number to top, but you know, let me know if you got any more than me. But they're great. It's somebody once said if I'd have known they were this much fun, I'd have had grandkids first. I don't know how that works, but here. Yeah, see. A couple of events coming up. Coffee with a Cop is on the 9th. That's the second Wednesday. Still at Rain Brews. And Neighborhood Watch, I think, is the 21st. That would be the third Monday. So I just want to make sure that gets out. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't happened during all of this Corona business, and that got restarted, and it's just a great time, really, to get together, get caught up. Both of them centered around the PD, which deserves our support and our honor. Was at a couple of different meetings, but the one that I keep reiterating about is the Rio Grande Prevention Partners. I think you've heard me mention that. And a subset of that, which is CTC or Communities That Care. We just recently got back some survey information. We were going over that at this last meeting, which it seemed like it was going to be kind of boring, looking at charts and graphs and numbers. And it turns out that this is a growing cause. It concerns me it isn't better known here in our town. And I'm trying to, we all are, trying to get something going to get the word out more, a little more awareness of what's going on. We're in stage 4 of a stage 5 process. It's been going on for like 3 or 4 years, maybe more than 4 years. But it's, so you don't, it's hard to pinpoint some things, but the whole process is growing and developing and turning into something that has affected something around 40 plus, maybe 46, something like that, communities within the state of Colorado. And it's all about the name kind of, well, Communities That Care, but Rio Grande Prevention Partners is about prevention. It's not about treatment and recovery and all, that's all part of all of this, but prevention is long-term, and it makes a world of difference, and it's working. Anyhow, I'll let that go, but their newsletter will be coming out again here pretty soon, and I'll probably be talking about that, but they also coordinate some events that we haven't been able to do, so we're planning, as it stands right now, to be some of the first events that are going to take place in this little new building. You might have heard about it, Sky High. So keep your eyes and ears open. But that is, if you hear the name or the acronym, I hate an acronym, whatever they are, but they're RGPP and CTC, Communities That Care. It kind of speaks for itself. But with that, have a safe, someone said 4th of July. What is this? Labor Day.
Labor Day is later.
Don't tell my daughter I messed it up, because that's her birthday. She was born, actually, I won't say what year, she would shoot me, but it was a while ago, but it was actually on Labor Day. September 5th happened to be actually Labor Day. And her mom just got a big kick out of that. She was born, so she'll be. In any case, I'll yield the rest of my time to the mayor.
You're good. Grandpas don't have to do birthdays. They don't have to remember.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it's my daughter, but that's okay. Yeah.
But still, you're a grandpa, so.
Yeah, very much so.
So I said, if it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't remember anybody's birthday anyway, so.
That's okay.
So I'm gonna stick with this little saying of Monty Strong. It's through this pandemic. It's all been tough. People wearing masks, people not wearing masks. Sometimes the sadness that comes with it. What Larry said, smile, be friendly. We're still all here together. We're Monte strong. We are one community. Right, wrong, or otherwise, we are. One thing I wanted to bring up is potato harvest is right around the corner. A lot of people have already started, but there's probably Tuesday after Labor Day, the majority of them are gonna start. So be cautious being out in the country, even here in town, because there's people driving trucks out there that need to know how to drive trucks out there. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? So always stay cautious, pay attention to what your surroundings are at all times.
No texting and driving.
Yeah, no texting and driving. Seriously, at this point in time. So with that, that's all I have. I want to thank the staff, the police department, everybody for what they do for this city and how we pull together and be strong right now. So right now we we recess the meeting until September 17th.